Welcome. This is lines and angles. This is section 3.1. We've discussed proofs. We've discussed the basics of geometry. Now we're going to move on to what it is that we're actually doing with these things. We're going to start solving some things. We're going to talk about the relationships between lines and angles. So here we go. Lines and angles. First, some vocabulary. When we're talking about parallel lines, notice that we have this set of parallel lines here because this is notation. Okay, that's our notation. That's going to tell us what it is. So to mark parallel lines, we're going to have two lines that are right next to each other, like railroad tracks. So that's our symbol for parallel lines. If we look over here at our drawing, we notice that we also have these little arrows. Okay, we've marked them. So things marked with the same amount of arrows are going to be parallel. So we could also say that these arrows give us an idea of what is parallel. Notice, they have to be coplanar and they cannot intersect. We're thinking railroad tracks. Okay? Notice, they are coplanar. They're on the same plane. And so all these things that are circled in red, they're parallel lines. Perpendicular lines intersect at 90 degrees. Once again, this is our notation, because it intersects at this little bitty 90-degree angle here. Okay, you see how that goes? Okay, and so when we look at our diagram here, our perpendicular lines are going to look something like this. Okay, so that's what we've got. We've got that perpendicular line there. So we could say that line EG is perpendicular to line GH. Okay, that's a pretty bad Q looking Q. G looks like a Q. Okay, so line EG is perpendicular to line GH. Let's go back up to parallel lines for just 1 minute. I forgot one little part. We're going to say that line AB is parallel to line EF. Okay, so this is how we note these things. Skew line are not coplanar. They do not intersect. So two things that are completely unrelated. So they're not coplanar, they're not parallel, and they do not intersect. So if I pick one, we'll just say AB is skew to, and now we've got to pick another line. Well, let's look to see what's not parallel. So if we've got AB here, okay, it's up here. Something that's not parallel does not intersect. Oh, what about line DH? Okay, so line DH down here is skew to AB because they're not on the same plane. They do not intersect. Parallel planes do not intersect. So I could say plane ABE, which is my top plane here. Okay, this plane here. And the parallel plane to it would be is parallel to plane. What about this bottom one down here? They're parallel. So I'm going to say plane CHD. Okay? So that's kind of how this works. This is our basic notation for this chapter. So this is one that you can go ahead and do. So if you want to go ahead and start this, try this. You can use this diagram down here. I'm going to keep going through it. A pair of parallel segments. So I could say, let's use the ones that are marked. So I could say segment SN is parallel to, and I could use segment MR. Okay, I could also say MR is parallel to LQ. Okay, so all these things with these double arrows on them are parallel, but notice they've got to be in the same plane. So MR and LQ are in the same plane, and NS and MR are in the same plane. Now, pair of skew segments. So I'm just going to pick one here. Let's pick segment NM and another segment here. So this is NM here. Okay, a skew segment could be segment RQ down here. Notice they're skewed because they're not coplanar, they do not intersect. Perpendicular segments. Once again, pick one. We're going to say, I don't know, segment NS, perpendicular to segment, let's see, what does it come down here and hit? It hits SR. Okay, so that's how this basically works. This is how we're working it. So parallel planes, I'm going to say plane, and I'll pick the top of the box. NKL is parallel to plane. So this plane here can be parallel to this one on the bottom here. PQR. Okay, so that's how this works. We're basically picking out these pieces that are the same. Okay, so a little bit more vocab. A transversal is a line that intersects two coplanar lines at two different points. So we're going to call this little line here L. So line L is a transversal. Okay, because it intersects these two lines here. We'll call this line S, and that's line R. Okay, so L touches R and S, so that's what makes it a transversal. Corresponding angles are the same side of the transversal and the line. So for example, same side of the transversal is going to be like this side or this side. Okay? Same side. So I'm going to pick this side. So I've got my choice of 2, 4, 6, and 8. So I've got to be on the same side of the line, same side of the transversal. So angle 2 and angle 6. Or I could say angle 4, angle 8. Or I could say the other side of the transversal, angle 1 and angle 5. Or angle 3 and angle 7. Okay, so you see how this kind of works. They're on the same side, so they're in the same relative position. So this one's here and this one's here. Okay, so you see how that works. Alternate interior angles. They alternate their opposite sides of the transversal, so like 1 and 4, and they're on the inside of the lines. This blue area out here. Okay? This is the exterior. Or the outside, like the outside of a house. Okay? And I'm going to mark with green here. This is the interior. Okay, so that's the interior. Inside the lines is the interior, outside those lines is the exterior. So alternate interior angles would be like angle 4 and angle 5. Or angle 3 and angle 6. Okay, those are alternate interior because they're on the inside. 3 and 6, 4 and 5 are alternate interior. Alternate exterior would be on the outside, so that'd be like 1 and angle 8. Or we could say angle 2 and angle 7. Okay, because they're outside and they're alternate. Same side interior would be like angle 4 and angle 6. Or we could say angle 3 and angle 5. Okay? Next section we're going to learn how these things are related, but we're saying that this is what it is for right now. Okay, so that's how they relate. We're going to give an example of each of the following. If you feel confident with this, you want to go back and use your notes, good, do it. Go ahead, try that. I'm going to go through it right now for you. Corresponding angles. I'm thinking angle 1 and angle 5. Notice. If I have like 2 picture windows here, this is how I like to think of it. Okay, I have 2 picture windows here. The upper left goes with the upper left. Okay? Or I could say upper right goes with upper right. So angle 2 and angle 6. The bottom left goes with the bottom left. So I could say or angle 4, angle 8. Or I could say bottom right with bottom right. I could say angle 3 and angle 7. Okay? See how that works? Alternate interior angles. I'll circle these in green. I could say 4 and 6 because they are inside and they're on opposite sides. Okay? Or I could say angle 3 and angle 5 because they're also on the inside and they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So, or angle 3, angle 5. Alternate exterior. We'll go in black for these. Alternate exterior. So 1 and 7. Because they're on the outside of those lines and on opposite sides of the transversal. Or I have another pair because I have 2 up here. That goes with 8 because they're alternating. And they're on the outside. Okay, same side interior. I'm going to pick a different color. I'm going to go crazy right now. Go into my crayon box. Go with pink. Okay, we'll see how it shows up. Same side interior. We've got 5 and 4 would be there. So angle 5 and angle 4. Or we could say angle 3 and angle 6. Okay? So that's how those things relate. In B, we're going the same way. So here's one that you can do by yourself, or I can walk through it with you. I'm going to give you one example of each, and you're going to see if you can fill in the others. The corresponding angles would be angle 1 and angle 3. There are 3 others. Alternate interior angles would be like 2 and 7. There is one other. Okay. Alternate exterior would be like 5 and 4. There are 2 others that go together, so one other set. Okay. Same side interior would be like 6 and 7. And there's one other set. Okay, so you see how this works. It doesn't matter what the numbers of the angles are. It's about the relationship. So if I've got this boxed angle right here, angle 1, this is still corresponding with it, even if it's a different number. So it could be 1 and 19. Who cares? It doesn't matter, as long as they're in the right positions. So that's this lesson in a nutshell, okay? So when we come in, we're going to discuss this, and we need to understand these relationships because it's going to be key for the next section. Thanks for watching.